If Silent Hill was set in feudal era Japan, I genuinely think it would look something like this, especially as it's more reflective of the PlayStation 1 generation. This game right here, Labyrinth of the Demon King, is a first-person dungeon crawler survival horror game that sees you take on the role of a downed warrior, enacting on a quest of revenge to destroy the demon lord that has taken the life of your leader. So you want to try and enact revenge any way possible, but the only way to get to the demon lord is through many trials and hurdles, where you'll have to go through a labyrinth of different buildings and environments while defeating many of the Demon King's army and generals, which you will need to take down well in advance to have any chance of facing him. It's not an easy task, as there's a lot that gets in your way between enemies, traps, puzzles, locked environments, doors, and just areas that you simply can't get into. Coupled with the fact is that when you're starting out, you are pretty much injured and you have to try and use whatever means of limited weapons or resources available to you to at least gain some level of progression, which won't be easy. Coupled with that, the weapons you do get in the beginning are slow and lethargic to use to a degree, so it can hinder your progress, especially in the early stages. Coupled with that the enemies that you do face are tricky to beat as well, as they all have their own attack patterns and they can do a serious amount of damage to you, so you'll have to keep playing until you're able to level up your character, either through gaining new abilities, resources, armor, and even just stronger weapons, so that you'll be able to move a lot quicker and be able to take and deal more damage along the way. But that in itself won't be an easy task. And while I've only played the demo of this so far, because the game is still in development and won't be released until later this year, there's still not really any known announcement yet to be made of when the game will officially be released. I was fortunate enough to play a demo that was released a while back, but it has since been removed on Steam as of recording this video, so hopefully there will be another demo that'll come out at some point. But the demo itself is very large and quite vast in size. Like, it took me 2 hours on a good playthrough just to get through it. Now mind you, I could have probably finished it a wee bit sooner had I really understood what to do, because a lot of the areas and environments that you explore, they're very dark, very atmospheric, but it's also not as apparent in the beginning as to what to do. But it's only once you figure things out, because there is a lot of backtracking and it's very like classic survival horror, where you, in order to unlock one room or complete a puzzle, you have to gain a required number of items, either keys or mythical elements, in order to complete objectives. But then you also have to contend with, towards the end of the demo, that there's certain shrines and elements that you need to deal with and to take care of, because if you don't, a demon will come out from the nether realm, or hell if you will, and it will start chasing you around the place. Now that's essentially where the demo would end, but in the full game, this relentless enemy will literally follow you throughout the entirety of the game, and there's no real way of being able to kill it. You can only slow down its progress, so that will also make the experience more difficult. But what I find with this is, yes, it's a first person survival horror game, and it does have old school PS1 style graphics in it, like low polygonal characters, environments, which I think is very, very cool. It really sets the tone and the atmosphere. It feels like Silent Hill, like if Silent Hill was a first person game, but it also feels a lot like the Forbidden Siren series that would have been on the likes of the PlayStation 2, as it was also set in Japan as well. But if you've played any of the Forbidden Siren games, there's a lot of environments and areas that you'll explore that are old derelict buildings that would have been set during earlier periods within Japan itself. It's very reflective of that. The game is very atmospheric, it's very dark, everything just feels uneasy as you're playing it. You just never know where things are going to pop up from. It's very unnerving. It's just everything about the game, something just feels off. Now it's tricky, even to say the least, with regards to the combat and the gameplay, because some of the enemies that you face, they can counter and block your attacks, and you can do the same. But there's some enemy types that are relentless in their approach and how they attack you, and they can literally wipe the floor with you very easily if you're not sure what to do. So I found that you had to use different strategies in order to take them out. But luckily enough, if you can get different enemy types into one room and they're all together, they all start attacking each other, which can definitely make your life a little bit easier. So in many ways you have to mind your surroundings, but it also gives you a proof of point that you choose your battles wisely. Now in some cases you can't avoid it, because you could be in a very small or narrow room or corridor or hallway, and an enemy is constantly attacking you and you can't do anything but defend yourself or try to just beat the hell out of it. And if you do that, then you can progress, but not without taking some damage at least, so which will force you to scavenge for health items in order to try and keep yourself alive long enough. And you also will end up finding yourself making use of a lot of the save points that are situated at different points, because you'll find that you'll be reloading the game a lot. I found that to be the case. It's an interesting game. Yes, it's different, it's dark, it's atmospheric, very unnerving, it is scary. There's just something about it that just in many ways does reflect a lot of those older games I mentioned with Silent Hill and Forbidden Siren. In many ways it just feels off and just feels weird, but in a good way, and it's very different from a lot of other games that you would see out there. But in terms of the combat and how it plays, now while it's still a demo, so there's obviously still tweaks and so forth to be made, and there's certain little gripes with regard to some of the enemy kind of combat and even how they can attack you and hit you. They can gain advantage on you a lot more than you can gain on them, and you do have to use different strategies in order to defeat them. But hopefully in the full game some of those issues will be ironed out, as it is an interesting title. The only thing I will say, if there is another gripe about it, is that the environment you find yourself in, especially when you're indoors, a lot of it feels very samey, and you'll find yourself not really knowing of where you are at a particular time, so you will have to revert to using the maps that you'll find throughout the gameplay as well to figure out where you actually are. So while also trying to avoid and defeat enemies, you will spend most of your time searching for items and resources in order to progress. But that's just typical of survival horror. But if it's something you're into, you can definitely give it a go. Now in saying that, like, the demo currently isn't available on Steam. It was removed some time ago, so I'm sure that at some point there will be a new demo that will be available. But I think if you can play it and you're wanting something a little bit different, it might be worth a look, as it really is like nothing else that I've seen out there. With that being said, however, this is just but one of many quirky, interesting, weird and different horror games that are starting to appear in the modern times that are also definitely worth a look. And if you want to find out more about these unique games, you can check out this next video.